The highly anticipated 5th season of Diablo 4 is just around the corner, set to launch on August 6th, which is tomorrow, with the release of patch 1.5.0. As fans eagerly prepare to dive back into Sanctuary, this major update brings about a ton of changes and enhancements. Patch 1.5 is set to introduce a lot of new content, including gameplay adjustments, balance tweaks, and fresh features designed to enrich the gaming experience. First off, let's dive into the new endgame mode for the upcoming season called Infernal Hordes. This exciting wave-based feature will be available in both the Seasonal and Eternal realms, starting at World Tier 3 after you complete the Of Lambs and Wolves seasonal questline. You can tackle Infernal Hordes solo or with friends, it's entirely your choice. To access Infernal Hordes, you'll need Infernal Compasses, which can be earned or crafted through various endgame content. Between waves of enemies, you'll be able to select an Infernal Offering, which can affect your run. Your choices can dramatically increase the deadliness of your enemies and in turn enhance the quality of your eventual rewards. Beware though, as your revives are limited. After dealing with waves of enemies, you get to face off against 3 members of the Council. There are 5 in total, which are chosen at random, so be sure to prepare for multiple scenarios on how to handle these bosses. As you go through the mode, you'll earn Burning Aether, which can be used to unlock various rewards. Burning Aether can also be used to access Spoils of Hell, which grants items with a greater affix, various summoning materials, and a chance to unlock new uniques and legendaries. So first up, let's go straight into the key updates from the public test realm for Season of the Infernal Hordes. The Infernal Hordes have some neat new audio cues from when waves start and end. They've also tweaked the number of waves in Tier 1 to 3 now to have 6 waves, and Tiers 4 to 5 to have 7 waves, and all other tiers stay the same. Plus, the wave timer is cut down to just 60 seconds, and you'll be facing more monsters in general. The Council and other bosses have also had their health pools slashed, making those battles a bit more manageable. Infernal Compasses are now dropping more often and from a bunch of new places like high-tier Nightmare Dungeons, high-tier Pit Runs, Helltides, and Whispering Caches. You can even craft them at the Occultist with Forgotten Souls and Sigil Powder, and if you need more Sigil Powder, you can salvage compasses now too. Good news on drop rates, both compasses and Abyssal Scrolls are dropping more frequently. Chest rewards have gotten a big boost and the prices have dropped. You'll also find common herbs and Angel's Breath as drops, though Shattered Prisms will be a bit rare. Defeating the Council now guarantees you an extra drop of Aether that scales with the tier you're on. Shock Troopers, Aether Masses, Hellseekers, and Soulspires are dropping more Aether too, and pets can now scoop it up for you. The exploit weakness mechanic has been adjusted so it no longer just executes all enemies regardless of their health. In Helltide, legendary item drops for monsters above level 100 have improved, and for all you pit runners, the penalty where only the player who opened the pit got the full masterworking materials is gone. So let's talk about some general updates. Unfortunately, the Alchemist Control Rogue Temper Manual won't be available in this patch, but don't worry, it's coming back in patch 1.1.5. In the meantime, though, we can check out the new tempering recipes, including the Worldly Finesse recipe, which is going to boost your critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, overpower damage, and ultimate damage. For Barbarians, you should be paying attention. The new aspect of forward momentum is here, giving you a 25 to 40% movement speed boost for 3 seconds after knocking back an enemy. Plus, the Slayer's Finesse tempering recipe is going to enhance your vulnerable damage, bonus damage against injured targets, and bleed damage. A very welcome update indeed. Druids are getting the awesome Mjolnir Ring, a unique item that provides unlimited spirit and extra damage while Cataclysm is active. The aspect of the Rushing Wilds will increase your movement speed by 5 to 15% for 5 seconds when you use a companion skill. And check out the new tempering recipes like Ultimate Efficiency, which reduces cooldowns for Cataclysm, Lacerate, Petrify, and Grisly Rage. Necromancers also got some love too. The Path of the Trag-Ol unique boots enhance Bone Prison and increase maximum essence. The aspect of the Unholy Tether Bonds will give your Golem the boost to movement speed, and the Inexorable Reaper's aspect turns Sever into a mobility skill while using Essence. The aspect of Creeping Mist reduces evade cooldown and lets you evade during Blood Mist, and the Imprisoned Spirits aspect enhances Bone Spirit explosions within Bone Prison. Plus, the Necromancer Wall tempering recipe adds to Necrotic Carapace and Drain Vitality, along with providing minion damage reduction. Going to be a blast. Next up, Rogues. The Shroud of Condurus, a unique chest armor, gives you 3 seconds of immunity with Dark Shroud, but increases evade cooldown by 3 to 9 seconds. When Dark Shroud is active, evading will create a shadow damage explosion that pulls in enemies. New legendary aspects include the aspect of the Nebulous Bruise, which boosts movement speed and spawns an additional healing potion. The Galvanized Slashers aspect and the Of Iron Rain aspect will improve your resource management and damage. The Breakneck Bandits aspect and Mired Sharpshooters aspect will enhance Flurry and Caltrops. And on to Sorcerers, who are last but not least. The unique Axial Conduit pants improve Chain Lightning by making it orbit and seek enemies with a lightning damage explosion. New legendary aspects include Aspect of Tenuous Agility, which boosts movement speed, the Aspect of the Firebird for free Flame Shield enhancement and meteorite damage, and the Lightning Rod aspect for additional Chain Lightning chaining and damage. The Aspect of Elemental Acuity and Aspect of the Orange Herald offer mana and cooldown reductions. Time to electrify the battlefield. And we've got tempering recipes for weapons and utility skills too. The Discharge recipe adds an extra charged bolt chance and increases teleport size, while the Conjuration recipe boosts Hydra heads and adds chance for more Ice Blades and Lightning Spear casts. Conjuration Fortune and Elemental Control will enhance the damage and skill ranks for Hydra, Ice Blade, and Lightning Spear. And now on to balancing updates, starting with Barbarians. There's been a nice tweak to the Bash skill. Now it stuns enemies for 1.5 seconds after 4 hits, and it's even more effective with two-handed weapons. Plus, skills like Rend, Hammer of the Ancients, and Upheaval have seen boosts in damage and duration. Some passives have been adjusted too. Unconstrained, Unbridled Rage, and Walking Arsenal have reduced bonuses, while Endless Fury's requirement is lowered and Thick Skin's Fortify gain has been bumped up. On the legendary aspects front, the Wanton Rupture aspect is more frequent, and there are changes to the aspects like of Ancestral Force and of Sundered Ground. Unique items and Paragon updates include tweaks to Gore's Devastating Grips, affecting Whirlwind's explosion size, along with the various glyph and tempering recipe adjustments. Druids have major buffs coming their way. Skills like Landslide, Shred, Pulverize, and Hurricane are getting a boost, and now you can cast Ravens and Poison Creeper while moving. The effects of Rabies and Lacerate have been expanded too. Passives have been tweaked with reduced hits for Lupine Ferocity and increased damage reductions for Vigilance and Iron Fur. Legendary aspects have seen significant changes, including improvements to Metamorphic Stone, Shepherd's Aspect, and Skinwalker's Aspect. Paragon adjustments feature changes to Thunderstruck, Human Glyph, Protector Glyph, and Werebear/Werewolf glyphs. Necromancer's also got a nice update. There's a boost in lucky hit chance and damage for skills like Sever, Bloodlance, and Bloodwave. Minion attacks now overpower, and the Golem's active ability is enhanced. Passives have been updated with reduced hits for Shadow Blight and increased minion damage with Hellbent Commander. Legendary aspects have seen reductions in bonus damage for Blighted Aspect, and increases for Aspect of Bursting Bones, Empowering Reaper, and Hungry Blood. Paragon updates include changes to Wither, Bloodbath, and Blood Begets Blood legendary nodes. Rogues will also see improvements with increased damage for Blade Shift, Invisibility, and their Shadow Imbuement skills. There are also performance improvement for skills like Poison Trap, Heartseeker, and Barrage. Passives have been adjusted with increased damage reductions for Trickster's Dance and critical hit bonuses for Precision Strike. Legendary aspects have been updated with increased frequency for Grasp of the Cursed Aspect and improved damage for Aspect of Biting Cold. Paragon updates also feature adjustments to various glyphs and tempering recipes. Now on to tempering updates. Several tempering affixes have been shifted to new recipes within the utility category to offer more variety and depth in options. For Barbarians, Earthquake Duration, Kick Vulnerable Duration, and Frenzy Duration have been moved from Wasteland, Furious, and Berserking augments, respectively. Druids see Hurricane Size and Lightning Storm Duration move from Storm augments, Petrified Duration from Earth augments, and Cyclone Armor Active Size from Nature Magic Wall. For Rogues, Invigorating Strike Duration, Twisting Blades Return Time Reduction, Flurry Size, and Heartseeker Duration have been relocated from Basic and Core augments. Additionally, items with greater affixes now feature an extra tempering. Moving on to endgame boss updates. First up, the Summoning Urn now respawns after you defeat a boss, so you can reset and face those bosses as many times as you want. No more waiting around. Next, the Beast in the Ice boss fight is now a standard dungeon encounter. That means you no longer need to craft a sigil to get in. After defeating the boss, if you're in the Eternal Realm, you can use any leftover crafted sigils to resummon it without needing extra materials. Plus, the fight area is now closer to the dungeon entrance, making it way easier to access. When summoning Varshan, you'll now only need Malignant Hearts. Those trembling hands, blackened femurs, and gurgling heads, not required anymore. If you've got these items as an Eternal character, you can convert them into hearts at the Alchemist, which makes it very convenient. Bosses in the boss ladder now drop extra gold instead of rare items, which should help boost your chances of snagging those mythic unique items. You can now face any tormented boss for a shot at mythic uniques, which is pretty exciting. Tormented bosses are also dropping 5 times more boss materials, and their loot has been rebalanced for consistency. Each tormented boss has 5 chances to drop a mythic item with a 1.5% chance per drop, giving you a total of 7.5% chance for mythic unique drops. And yes, multiple mythic uniques can drop. Also, the cost to summon a tormented boss has been reduced from 2 Stygian stones to just 1. Now on to Helltides. If you're wondering if there have been any changes to Helltides, then you're right. The system for obtaining Baneful Hearts has been updated. You can start with a 15% chance to get a Baneful Heart from a Tortured Gift, and this chance increases with each failure until you receive one, at which point it resets to 15%. For Hellborn and Helltide Assassin, the drop chance starts at 1% and it increases with each failure, resetting to 1% after a heart is obtained. Helltide Commanders will also drop a Baneful Heart, and a world boss in an active Helltide zone will drop 3 Baneful Hearts. Additionally, local event chests now have a small chance to drop hearts when mastery is achieved. Threat gain has been adjusted to scale consistently with the health of defeated monsters. Helltide Whispers are now confined to one sub-zone and will always total 10 Grim Favors. The icon for these Whispers has been updated to match other Whispers, and the Coal Demon's Whisper now includes fallen enemies, while Coal Fallen has been replaced with Coal Cultists. Unique to Season of the Infernal Hordes, Profane Mind Cages have returned and are guaranteed to drop from Hellborn. They can now be stacked up to 3 times and are available exclusively in the Seasonal Realm. In World Tiers 1 and 2, summoning the Blood Maiden now requires only 2 Baneful Hearts, down from the previous requirements. Additionally, Tortured Gift chests in World Tiers 1 and 2 now need 75 cinders to open, reduced from 100. Moving on to loot rewards in the update. Resplendent Sparks from defeating tormented bosses can now be earned separately in hardcore and on non-hardcore modes. That's great news for those of you playing both modes. Also, Resplendent Sparks and Scattered Prisms won't be auto-picked up anymore, but don't worry. If you leave them on the ground, you can retrieve them from the Lost Item Stash. Unique and Mythic Unique items are now obtainable from Whisper Caches, Purveyors of Curiosity, and Tortured Gifts in Helltides. Plus, there's an increased chance of finding Mythic Unique items from non-boss sources, so keep an eye out for those. Treasure Goblins have had their drop quality enhanced. Now they offer 1 to 3 legendary items and 2 to 6 rare items. The more legendary items they drop, the fewer rare items you'll get, and vice versa. They always drop common ore, herbs, leather, and gem fragments. In World Tiers 3 and 4, they can even drop Forgotten Souls. In World Tiers 1 and 2, Treasure Goblins now have a 10% chance to drop 1 to 2 Scattered Prisms. In World Tier 3, this chance goes up to 20%, and in World Tier 4, it's 30%. They also drop 1 to 2 elixirs. And here's a big one. Gold drops have been significantly increased. You'll get from 40,000 gold at level 1 in World Tier 1, up to 150,000 gold at level 100 in World Tier 4. That's a huge boost. Miscellaneous Changes. As for other updates, Helltide chests no longer contain obols following the Season 4 loot Reborn Blessings. The Nightmare Dungeon rotation remains unchanged, but world bosses are now tougher, so get ready for a challenge. Experience rewards for side quests, including priority and class quests, have been bumped, which is awesome for leveling up. Skills that grant immunity like Flame Shield and Blood Mist will now trigger their cooldowns after the effect ends. Hard crowd control from monsters now lasts an average of 1.5 seconds, capped at 2 seconds, and frequent short hard crowd control effects have been adjusted to prevent chaining. Plus, you can now use potions while crowd controlled. Tutorial quests include the gem crafting quest are now track account-wide. Several dungeons have been streamlined, making for a smoother experience. Also, more weapon types are available for classes. Druids can now use polearms, one-handed swords, and daggers. Necromancers can use maces and axes, including the Butcher's Cleaver. Sorcerers can use one-handed swords and maces, including Azure Wrath and Doombringer. Inherent affixes on various weapon types have been adjusted too. Axes now have damage over time, wands have vulnerable damage, scythes offer summoning damage, staffs provide damage over time, bows have critical strike damage, polearms have vulnerable damage, focus and totems offer lucky hit chance. Enchanting now requires specific legendary crafting materials instead of angel breath, abstruse sigils for jewelry, baleful fragments for weapons, and coiling wards for armor. The character level requirement for unlocking Smoldering Ashes in the Battle Pass has been increased, so be prepared for a bit more of a grind. The maximum level difference for earning base monster experience has been increased across World Tiers 1 to 4. This means you'll get experience appropriately for higher level monsters, which is fantastic for the leveling experience. Boss health has been significantly reduced across all World Tiers, with the biggest reduction in World Tier 4. Pit boss damage has been reduced by 66%, and Shadow Pit boss affix attacks now apply a stacking damage debuff. The Bandit Sharpshooter boss has been replaced with Mother's Judgment to reduce those frustrating one-shot scenarios and give players more chances to handle boss attacks. And lastly, on to unique items. All unique items have received an update to better align with Blizzard's current design philosophy. On screen, you can see a showcase showing each change to each unique item. With so many updates to the unique items for the upcoming season, I'd like to highlight some of the changes that caught my attention. Starting with Crown of Lucian, it has seen a notable nerf, reducing its damage boost from 25% to 15% and removing the 75% resource cost reduction. Additionally, it now includes Shadow Resist instead of Maximum Resource, resulting in a 30% damage loss and increased resource cost overall. Despite these changes, it still holds potential for certain builds. Moving on to the Endurance Phase Gloves, they received a buff with a shorter duration reduced from 4 to 2 seconds but added cooldown. This change is particularly beneficial for sorcerers, making it an exciting enhancement to their toolkit. The Shard of Verathil saw a reduction in its damage multiplier from 300% to 200%, but don't fret. It remains strong for basic skill builds due to improved base stats and synergies with basic skill attack speed. This is still a solid choice for many players. Creeping Death received a substantial buff, increasing the damage over time multiplier from 20 to 50%. Against unstoppable or staggered bosses, the dot damage is increased by 2.5 times. This aspect synergizes well with various crowd control effects such as slow, stun, and immobilize, and can now be applied to amulets and two-handed weapons for even higher damage. This is a game changer for dot-focused builds. The Ring of Starless Skies has undergone significant changes, including the addition of attack speed and an increase in critical strike chance. Critical strike damage has been replaced with lucky hit chance, and bonuses to core skills, which can now be masterwork, have been added. Although the passive remains unchanged, these updates enhance the item's potential, sometimes making it the best in slot. This is an incredibly exciting upgrade for many players. Doombringer now includes all stats, compensating for the loss of stats on Shaco. The damage ramp-up is substantial, and the improved chance to heal, along with added damage reduction, benefits tank barbarians. The shadow damage increase from 900 to 12,000 makes shadow damage builds more viable, adding a whole new dimension to barbarian gameplay. The Ahavarian Spear of Lysander has seen considerable changes in its base stats, now offering critical strike, vulnerable damage, and overpower damage at 160%, along with all stats at 18% chance. The maximum resistance at 33% movement speed is a significant boost. While the chance to restore primary resources is underwhelming, the unchanged random shrine effects for 20 seconds after killing an elite enemy every 30 seconds remain valuable. Despite the lack of crit chance and attack speed, the overall stats are impressive and worth exploring. The Grandfather now offers double the all stats with the Ignore Durability Loss move to the base item passives. It provides a 20% increase in resources and a 300% damage increase, making it highly potent. Critical strike damage remains at 100%, making it an excellent stat stick, especially for barbarians. This is a powerhouse item that will definitely make an impact. Melted Heart of Selig wasn't commonly used before, but now offers maximum resistance to all elements. The 3% seems low, 30% would be better. It has a 15% lucky hit chance, 25% movement speed, and damage reduction while healthy. Resource generation is at 15%, providing 60 maximum resources. When taking damage, 75 is drained and 2 resources lost for every 1% of maximum life lost, making it a more defensive item but possibly not appealing enough for many builds. It's a mixed bag but could find its place in certain setups. Shaco has been highly anticipated. With greater affixes, it can offer almost 50% cooldown reduction, which is incredible. The passive remains the same, but it now provides more health and cooldown reduction. Although all stats are gone, maximum resource replaces resource regeneration, which can be beneficial for certain passives. The added 2500 armor is significant, allowing for other items to fill the armor slot. Overall, the cooldown reduction makes this a standout. It's an absolute game changer. Andariel's Visage has seen an increase in poison damage to 12,000 and now offers 666 poison resistance. Lifesteal has been replaced with Life on Hit, and 30% attack speed is impressive. With greater affixes and masterworking, this item becomes even more potent, offering maximum poison resistance and making it top tier for rogues and some sorcerer builds. This is a must-have for poison-focused players. And lastly, Tyrael's Might is interesting with its full life skill unleashing a divine barrage, although it currently shows 0 damage, which must be a mistake. It now includes movement speed and maximum resistances to all elements at 7.5%. This can be increased, making it a potential tanky option with the scaling of damage needing an update soon. It's a unique item with lots of potential. So that wraps up our video on what you can expect from Season 5. A lot of changes are headed our way, and this video only covered some of the good stuff. For more detailed information regarding the patch, you can check out our article on the website. But I want to know what your thoughts are regarding Season 5. Are you planning on playing? Do you like what you hear in this video? Let us know in the comments below.